Hey, what is up, everyone? Good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you are. This is Danny B Live. We do this every week, interviewing amazing entrepreneurs, business people, salespeople, so you can learn how to make an impact in your business, how to create a business that's predictable, that's profitable, that's fun, or you can just learn a couple things about business. Today's show, you guys, I am super excited to welcome a special guest, Laird, to the show. We're going to talk about how you can create the Laird life. We're going to talk about business, family, politics, as Laird is laughing in the background, but hey, we got to come up with some cool stuff. We're going to talk about business, family, politics, Jeeps, fitness, all kinds of good stuff. I can't wait to get the show rolling. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and rock and roll. Here we go. All right, here we go. We are live with Robert Laird, a.k.a. Laird for short. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to chat today.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. I do.
For sure. So you guys who are on right now, I know we're going to get a lot of people joining us. If you're on right now, this is a live show. This is not pre-recorded, so it's totally spontaneous. Whatever we say goes. And the cool thing about that, you guys, is you can ask questions. You can throw comments in. Thank you for all those thumbs up for the people that are throwing those in right now. Laird, I know you can't see those, but we got a bunch of people.
I can't see them. I'll assume there's a bunch.
Yep, giving us all the thumbs up. And you guys, if you want to ask questions, just go to the chat box on YouTube, type in your questions. I'll get to as many of them as I can. If I don't get to yours right away, don't worry, don't fret. We will get to it. We'll answer it live on the air. If we can't do that, we'll answer it afterwards. So with that out of the way, and be sure to give us a thumbs up, you guys, if you like the content and you like what you're seeing. We got Riva already on, giving us 3 thumbs up. So thank you, Riva. We appreciate that. So you guys, this is Danny B Live, and today I am live with Robert Laird, a.k.a. Laird for short. Thank you so much again for being here, and I'm excited to talk about all things, business, politics, family, fitness, California. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I just thought, we'd get started with kind of a little story about your journey. We talked about it yesterday on the little pre-show there,
Yeah.
But I think everyone would really love to hear how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm currently in development commercial lending. We also do luxury retail as well. But that's after spending a lot of times in the trenches in sales myself since I was 16 years old. Started off with actually jewelry sales, if you can believe that, at 16, working for one of my girlfriend's dads, and then make my way into the car industry. So instead of going into college, I decided to kind of follow a niche that I was really great at, and I was creating relationships and selling vehicles. And I actually ended up the top finance manager for Mercedes-Benz at like 20 years old. So I kind of rolled with that for 10 years, ended up a GM at one of the best stores in Northern California, and had a great career building the relationships with not only my sales team, but also my clients. And that's how I got a pretty good Rolodex in this area, and made a good transition, finally deciding to get out of that retail space and into corporate sales to give a little bit more time. I don't know if you ever spent that much time in doing that, but it definitely requires a lot of hours in that retail space. So when I finally got out of, decided corporate was not my lifestyle, I went into an entrepreneurial role, and now we're building a pretty good brand up here with One Source Capital Group. Yeah,
for sure, Laird. And, I wanted to say congrats on all your success, for sure. I think, you have a great social media following. I've been following you on Instagram for a long time. I just love everything that you're doing up there, and, was super excited to have you on the show. So real quick question I had that I didn't get to ask you yesterday is what was your favorite Mercedes when you worked there?
I was always a fan of actually the CLS 550. That was pretty much my favorite, my go-to. So I did luck out. I actually usually had the demos at that point. So that was one of my favorite for sure. The G-Wagon's a good one too.
Yeah, so I was going to tell you my 6-year-old, who's the car guy that I was telling you about yesterday. Oh, by the way, so yesterday, you guys, we did a little sneak preview. And welcome, you guys, everyone who's just jumped on. Welcome to the show. We're live with Laird. Ask your questions in the chat box. He'll answer them. Ask about anything you want: real estate, business, finance, politics, fitness, Jeeps, whatever you want to ask about. But Laird, I was going to tell you yesterday after we got off, we had dinner, and I told my 6-year-old, who's my car buff kid, I said, hey, we just got invited to go to the Rubicon, and he was so excited. He's like, okay, so do we leave tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. So how long have you had your Jeep? I mean, I think I checked on there a few years. Have you done any wheel? I mean, where do you wheel down there, by the way?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's a 2018 Wrangler. I should have had a picture. I could have thrown it up on the screen, but it's a
yeah, yeah.
2018. And what was funny is I had a Range Rover before, and I was like, I
Uh-huh.
really want to go off roading. So I had a Range Rover Sport, and I tried to
Right.
take it to like a little trail and scrape the heck out of it. So I got rid of
Yeah.
that and got the Jeep. And down here we have a ton of great trails. Big Bear is fantastic.
Yeah. I was
Um,
thinking you might head over to bit. It's probably your best mountain, right? And it's not too far.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's probably the best one. But anyway, so he is a big G wagon fan. So I told him you used to be a GM at Mercedes, and he was like, "Oh, I want a G wagon."
Yeah, I mean, those are you got so much nostalgia behind it. Obviously, it's not just your rappers that want it. We actually get a lot of outdoorsmen out here that love them. So they
Yep.
unchanged since 1963, believe it or not, except for some of the interior upgrades. But very few vehicles are that bulletproof. I will say that thing is a tank. But for us up
Yep.
here, the Rubicon, we luck out. We're 45 minutes from that. My sons are 8 and 10, and I've
Awesome.
been a Jeeper pretty much my whole life. But I've had the Wrangler now since 2012 when I sold my Aston Martin as my little one was getting a little too big. It didn't make much sense. And I'm like, no, listen, two-seater is not going to work for me anymore. I guess we'll throw away the Playboy sports car and get into kind of my roots, so to speak, out here in the foothills. We did a lot of four-wheeling growing up in high school and stuff. So
So awesome.
thrilled that the kids have been able to grow up with that sort of lifestyle, and we're blessed to have so many good trails around here. You talk
Yeah.
about just kind of disconnect. There's no cell reception. It's pretty close to desolation in the wilderness. You just get out of here and get away for the weekend.
I'm with you, man. I absolutely love it. And it's funny because my wife like made fun of me when I got the Jeep, and she's like, "You're going from a Range Rover to we live in LA, so it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're trading the Range
I don't.
Rover for."
I don't know. I mean, I know some of my boys that are picking up these Jeeps are spending damn near six figures getting them dialed in. So
I know.
it's almost as much as a G wagon now. Yeah.
Totally, I totally agree. So you guys, we're gonna get back to Jeeps, but I know a lot of the questions that I got on the entrepreneurial side, Laird. If you can kind of walk us through,
Yeah.
so you left the car business and then the retail business, and how
Yeah.
did you so quickly build a successful lending business by yourself? Because I think that's just an amazing feat. I think entrepreneurs are the backbone of the country, and so I'm
Yeah.
so impressed with that.
Yeah, so that's a tough call when you come in a career that you're doing really well at, right? At what point do we stop maybe building somebody else's net worth, so to speak, which is what we did, and we did a really good job while running those dealerships, right? And we made a good living doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you get to a point where you go, okay, if I can utilize my skill sets and my relationships and go ahead and build something for myself or something for my family legacy, so to speak. Not a lot of people have. I'm going to call it the balls to do it, right?
Yeah.
Especially when people rely on you. You've got a roof over your head. You got mouths to feed, and it's like I'm going to follow not a pipe dream, but I'm going to go ahead and believe in myself, and I'm going to take this risk. And there's always a startup to that. I don't care how savage you are. Like you're going to have a tiny lull as you put this thing together, and I went twofold because not only did I get out of something, that was even with corporate, I was doing offshore accounting basically for Ally Financial, which is a large bank
Okay.
in the auto space, right? They were GMAC prior. So it was a pretty comfortable transition out of retail into that because I was pretty much doing a lot of what I was doing prior. But to come into lending, that was, on the real estate side, that was new for me. And I will preface this. I said, I have a really good partner, that I started this with,
Mm-hmm.
and he had been in lending for some time. And why that matters is your network is so important, for growth, right? And giving you a little bit more confidence in maybe executing. But if you don't have that good network, if you don't have those people you trust, that you're tight with, that you share experiences with, that you learn from, that you put the ego aside and you go, hey, you know what? I don't know how to do this, but I see you doing it. And, I want to learn from you. And sometimes when we get in our 30s and 40s and 50s, even, that's just not something that we can stomach doing, which is dumb, because if I hadn't taken that leap, I certainly wouldn't be, looking at a pretty large portfolio of real estate, holdings right now that we've done with some developers and kind of worked out deals where we're building 150 homes right now. I mean, I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be, sorry about that, would be building homes, right? That's just
Right.
not something I thought I could do. So anyway, it's not an easy thing to decide when to do it. You're going to have to just kind of, believe in yourself and go with it, I think.
Laird, you touched on something I think in business that is so important that I actually didn't fully realize, until way later, because it's not something they teach you in school, which is really like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You touched on the network, which is so important. In terms of
Yeah,
like building that network, what advice would you have for young entrepreneurs, maybe people either leaving college or thinking about
sure.
leaving their corporate job and starting their own business?
Yeah, that it really is a contact sport, and it's kind of a thankless contact sport. I mean, I can't tell you, as I've built, I'm going to call it my brand, because I've kind of stayed true to the balance of who I am, and it's hard, work hard, play hard, sort of a thing. And I push the envelope on some stuff, and I'm edgy on some stuff, but that's just me, and I think that's okay to be authentic. But as you build that brand and you're reaching out to other people, okay, a lot of times you're maybe doing thankless jobs, or you're connecting dots for somebody else. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got, and you're not maybe getting anything in return, you think, but
Hmm.
over time, people realize you're the guy to go to. And as you put yourself in those circles, and you're at events, and you're at networking events, and it inevitably creates kind of momentum for your brand, that you're a guy who can, one, connect dots and follow through, if that makes sense. So even, if you may not have even been in lending, but people who are in lending, as long as you're constantly a touch point for people, you'd be amazed what ends up happening in just a short amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there that it is a contact sport. I mean, any sales business, any entrepreneur you'll endeavor
Mm-hmm.
you want to get into, you got to talk to people. I mean, there's no way of getting
Right.
around it, right? So Laird, a couple questions here that always
Mm-hmm.
come to me when I'm interviewing entrepreneurs, as you were kind of starting out, or maybe even now,
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes will look at guys like you and they see the social media following and
Mm-hmm.
everything looks perfect, and they're like, oh,
Oh
everything
yeah.
he touches
Yeah.
turns to gold. But I know that's not the case,
No,
because I'm an
certainly is
entrepreneur.
not. No. No.
So,
I mean,
what I'd love to ask you is if you can walk us through maybe a big challenge or a failure that you had, and kind of how you overcame that and what you learned from it.
yeah, I mean, I've had several over the years, and I think that's what helps hone the individuals we become, right? Is those lessons we learn, and everything from personal lessons to business lessons. I mean, going through a divorce was a traumatic thing to do, and having two children to sort of work through co-parenting with that is not easy. That's character building.
Right.
I lost a father when I was 16 years old, my father, when I was 16. So that's a character building moment as you get through life. And then in failures in business, I mean, I was with Mercedes for 10 years, was let go at the end, and then
Mhm.
you're like, okay, you're in my late 20s. I have everything kind of figured out, I think. And it forced me to sort of pivot, right, and get out of a really comfortable zone. And a lot of us get those opportunities, those points in life, and we either take it as fuel to sort of succeed and step to the plate, or we use it as an excuse to, sorry about that,
Oh, no
I get
worries.
these calls now. You get it?
Yep.
Use it as an excuse to fail, and a lot of people don't, will never judge you for doing that. But for me, I think that was a pivotal point for me. It was 10 years in a career that I was making really great money at, with a team I had built myself, and having to completely change my direction, right? At mid late 20s is where I was at. So
Yeah.
it was I had kind of my routine almost my entire adult life was this, and then I had to go out and get it done. Again, people relying on me, right? Got to
Yeah.
go get it done. So I look back now, and that was actually a blessing in disguise, so to speak.
Laird, for sure. I think that resonates with me. I coach a lot of real estate agents, and a lot of
Mhm.
times they'll ask me, like, for real estate agents, a lot of times it's like a second career, or they start it on the side, and they
Mhm.
always ask me, like, when do you know when you can stop what you're doing and go and do real estate full time, because there's no cushion, there's no support, and how can you get rid of that paycheck that you had? And I always talk to them about what you're saying, like, hey, sometimes you just got to take a leap and make it happen, right?
Yeah, year one here with One Source Capital Group. I'm not going to lie. I mean,
Uh-huh.
we came in and we were originally just your cookie cutter lender, right? Looking to do luxury real estate lending. My partner had a big bank down in Irvine. Actually, he
Okay.
is from that Southern California area, and then downsized in late 2010, 11, 12. Moved his family up here. Ended up coaching his kids in Pee Wee football
Ah,
back in 2017, and that's how we met. So. But that first year where we decided, okay, what direction do we want to take this company? Are we going to add a retail side of it? Are we going to add something other than your cookie cutter FHA type lending? And we were presented with a couple of opportunities. Luckily, in my Rolodex and the local connections I had made over the years by delivering great customer service, by always being there and kind of a selfless way of connecting dots, we were able to get a half a dozen developers who are in that growth stage, but we're looking for investors. Okay. Again, the Rolodex came into play. Obviously, people who were purchasing from me before typically had means to invest. And so when we presented them with great opportunities and deals, they jumped on it because they trusted us. And within almost an 18-month time period, we took 6 developers and almost quadrupled their portfolio as far as entitled projects and projects going vertical, so to speak. So then we turned into really a development lender overnight by bringing a lot of cool niche products from LA that we didn't have up in Northern California, utilizing again that connection with my partner, and then the exit strategy with these developers here. So it was a lot of out of the box thinking that got us to where we are today, which is still on we're still on a growth trajectory. Still trying to figure it out, but definitely on a great run, I would call it. Right.
fantastic. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how like what ends up happening is maybe not what you originally envisioned, but hey, you got to take that entrepreneurial ride for sure. So Laird, got a question for you from Reva. Reva, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Reva.
Yes. Question is, leaping into something new is terrifying. And what do you recommend when your first leap isn't successful? How do you do it again if you weren't successful the first time? That's a great question.
Yeah, 100%. And I have done that a couple of times behind the scenes. Started small businesses, started a meal prep company.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, was dating somebody and started an eyelash company, if you can believe that or not. Which it's actually doing pretty well.
Nice.
Anyway, but
the things we do for girls.
Yeah, exactly. First one didn't work out exactly the way I wanted, though, and that was a good learning opportunity. What I did get out of it, though, is because I hadn't gone into that space before, you get kind of a different way. You figure out a way that things don't work, and you just check that out the box, right? It's like, the light bulb. Yeah, Edison, figured out 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb, but at least you figured out that wasn't working, and then you figure out how to make it work. So it is a scary thing to take a leap. You want to be calculated, and you definitely want to try to use some caution and use some logic as you get into that space. Do your due diligence, research the industry, and then at the end of the day, there's only one person who's going to make it work. It's going to be you. So you got to just get after it. Even if you fail the first time, pivot and get after it again. That's all we can do, right?
I love that. And I'll tell you, I mean, just from personal experience, I feel like you learn a lot more from your failures than your successes. When you win, you're like, okay, sure. I won. But when you lose, you got to really analyze that. So
yeah, 100%.
That's fantastic. And Laird, at the heart of it, what I love doing, what I'm passionate about doing is really helping people, coaching people, mentoring people and stuff like that. So question for you is, you talked about network. In your business journey, have you had any mentors or coaches along the way that have really helped you, and how have those relationships, helped you succeed?
Yeah, I certainly have. That's actually one of the top notes I had. Is I've been very blessed with some great mentors over the years in each industry I've ever been in, and then now my circle of friends, which I keep pretty tight, is filled with some pretty impressive individuals who run different businesses of their own. We partner in businesses now because we're like-minded, and we all have a similar drive, but different skill sets in some cases, right?
Right.
One of my buddies does incredibly well, and he actually started in the car industry as well, and then got into marketing and lead gen, which was something I had never even tackled or knew anything about. And this is kind of your online real estate lead generation, right?
Okay.
So now, because of that, and watching him turn a business into I mean, it's a 7-figure a month business, which
Wow.
is, from nothing, just from sheer hand-to-hand combat
Uh-huh.
and hustle, really. A lot of late nights, a lot of cold brews, and he's gotten it done. So I looked up to him, and even though he's about 5'8", I'm 6'4", I don't physically look up to him. His name's Dan Klein, but I sit and watch him just aspire more and more each month. And he's a coach mentor himself for his own clients, and so we get to sit there and we help them out one-on-one too. So again, your network is really important, I think. And if you don't have like-minded individuals you're hanging out with frequently, it's going to stunt your growth. It really will. Or if they don't have the same sort of end goal, they may be on a different pace than you, or they may have accomplished more in a shorter amount of time. But if you're not on the same page, wavelength as far as where you want to be, again, that can also set you back. So
That
mentors are important. Yeah.
And I was going to say that as well is such an important point about who you hang out with, because I know I've read, your net worth is going to be the average of the 5 people you're with. And, who knows if those numbers are 100% accurate. But, there is definitely something to the circle that you hang out with. And if those aren't the people that you look up to and that you want to be like, hey, get a new circle, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that happens. It doesn't make you a bad person. You kind of grow with the people you're around, and I've had different circles over the years. 100%. I've had and realized maybe some aren't going to be able to hang in there with me, and so they have to just they got to kind of serve their purpose, and then you need to move on to somebody else who can keep up with you. That's an important thing. It's a hard thing to do too, to tell, because it's very hard. I see a lot of groups and a lot of individuals get sucked into that. And it's not that you're being disloyal, because your loyalty always lies with yourself, right? And your family and your future. So
sure. Yeah. Definitely. Well, you guys, before we, Laird, it's awesome stuff here. I mean, so many great points there that I've already gotten a lot of value from. And if you guys are getting value from this show, give us a thumbs up. And also make sure, if you have a question, go ahead and ask it in the chat box. We got a bunch of them waiting there that we will definitely get to right now. And we actually have a question on something that I'm going to go ahead and switch gears into, Laird. So that it's actually a perfect segue. Elena wants to know, Elena's my wife. And she wants to know. She wants to know about your fitness routine. She wants to get back into it, and she gave you the muscle emoji. This one.
Good. Yeah, fitness has been a big part of my life here for I would say the last 6-7 years, since about my late 20s. Prior to that, I got away with just being an athlete and trying to and hanging in there. But as I launched a meal prep company, that kind of gave me a lot of insight as to the complexities of health and fitness and of course nutrition. So nutrition's a big part of what I try to keep into my routine, and that's also affects obviously physical and how I look and the energy I have and the ability to keep a routine up at the gym. Although COVID has set a lot of us back, we call it the COVID-15. Pretty much everyone's kind of picked up.
Yes,
I was not immune to that either. But and my fiance and I were just talking today. Like, all right, it's been enough of a lull. It's time to get back in. For us, thank God, gyms just opened up actually yesterday. Our Lifetime just opened back up. But it's important, I think, if you can get into at least that 3-4 day a week routine, whatever schedule will allow you. If it's in the morning, and I'm not in the gym 2 hours a day. I mean, I spend 45 minutes and I get after it. And I do have a mindset when I'm there, right? And I have a goal and I know what I'm there to accomplish. So I don't just bounce around. So for if you're wondering what to do, I think you just got to maybe utilize some help. I have a really good partnership with Apex Vision Fitness, and they're all over my page. My buddy Ryan Rosengren is probably one of the best online trainers I've ever worked with. Again, networking and highlighting those relationships is why a lot of us succeed. And he transformed me 6 years ago. If you go back through my Instagram, you'll see I have a couple of before and afters. Okay. I was pretty much going dad bod out there, late 20s. I really was, and I was like, what happened, dude? You were you were great in your early 20s, but I just made it a point. I said, this is something that I think is going to create the type of lifestyle I want, right? To have energy, to be a good dad, to want to, stick around there. My father passed away when I was 51 years old. I got to be honest, he didn't take great care of himself, and that had something to do ultimately with an illness that he ended passed away from. So, in the back of my mind, it's kind of been embedded in me for my long-term, my lifestyle is to just stay healthy. So it's not just about necessarily physically looking great, right? It's about mentally having more energy and more creativity, as I mentioned yesterday. That all comes from that, for sure.
Definitely. And Laird, I'm gonna piggyback on Elena's question real quick, because I feel like we're in similar situations. We both have 3 kids at home with California and the homeschooling nonsense, which we will get to in a minute. How do you guys, balance all of this stuff, right? You're running the business, you got fitness, you got family, you want to have some fun. How do you guys get that all in? Because I'm finding that to be a challenge for sure.
No, it is a big challenge. And we've got it more behind the scenes than most people would know about. My fiance and I are still transitioning her from the Bay Area, which is about 100 miles away. So she still has a place there. We've been together 2 years, but her daughter's down there, so we share custody. And that's a struggle. Nobody really sees the effort that goes in for us. I mean, she's sometimes on the road 4 hours a day just to get there, back, and to be here. With me and the boys, and to be there for her daughter as well. She's always impresses me. But with the schooling going now, so she's got homeschool there. My sons happen to be luckily in school here.
Oh, good.
So we are open here for a private school, and I'm blessed that I'm able to put them in that so that they're not at home. It is a struggle for us otherwise. I mean, I've got two of my senior loan officers. We basically almost got a daycare here at the office. I mean, we're doing schooling here because we need them, right? And so it's right now more than ever, we're seeing us being tested as parents and adults. The adulting, quote unquote, right, has never been more difficult. And I mentioned yesterday, I think the most important thing as parents that we can do is just try and stay positive, because although this is a massive inconvenience to us, and we're thinking of it as a short-term inconvenience, this is their life right now for these children, right? And they're not going to forget this. This will be like a stent that nothing's never happened in our generation. Obviously, something you may have seen, in the 20s, during that stent, things got pretty bad. But we got to be there for them, and we got to make sure that we're paying attention to kind of their mental stability and how they're doing, because it's not easy for them staring at a screen at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Hell, my God, 6 hours a day. There's no way.
No, it sucks. I mean, don't get me started on this topic, because this is the thing that for me is the most frustrating is, these kids are, they're looking at their iPads, all day, and then they want to go play with their friends, video games. And we don't want to be the bad guys saying don't be on the screens, but they've already been on the screens for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So it totally sucks. By the way, we have someone who says 916 represent. I don't have a name, but I'm assuming that's your area code because it's not mine.
Yeah, it is. That's Sacramento 916. What's happening? See if I get a name in there.
Yeah, it just says first name, last name. So throw your name in there so we know who you are. And by the way, Claire hopped on Laird and says 100%. I have a little one as well, and I'm trying to make sure he remembers this time as the time mom was home was at home a lot. Sorry.
Yeah. That could be slightly the one silver lining through this. I know a lot of us have been able to get a little more cohesive with our family units, right? So we try to find the positive spin. We spent a lot of time together over the summer, which was great, and then obviously school starting in August. I'm hoping that is maybe what resonates as they get older. Like, hey, we just had a hell of a lot of time with dad. That was a big part of becoming an entrepreneur, to be honest, was to have a little bit more flexibility. So they've had that, luckily, for the last few years, where I'm able to coach sports, which I could have never done in retail. There's no way I could have done that. I would have been stuck to a schedule and closed it up at 10 p.m., which was not uncommon back for me then. And so that's the other. If we want to piggyback to that, that's the other thing. The other reason to take that plunge, perhaps, is not just monetary or anything like that. It's also time, which it's hard to put a price on, especially when you're a parent. That they're only young once, and so I'm lucky to have done it at a time where pivotally they're going to remember I was home, I was there, I was coaching. Yeah, so
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I will definitely concur there. I mean, when I was a kid, my parents were working full time, so
Yeah.
we walked home from school, we
Hmm.
hung out. They came home at 5 or whatever it was, and they were awesome, and they spent a lot of time with us. But
Hmm.
like, my wife and I were just talking about this last night. Like this 6 month period where we're sitting down for 3 meals a day together, or
Right.
we're hanging out, we're going on walks, we've got a dog, all this kind of stuff is definitely something they will remember forever. So
Hmm.
good or
Hmm.
bad. They'll remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm
Uh,
ready to get back to normal. So we'll
we
get back to sports and it's cool.
we
Yeah.
cannot wait to get them back in school. I mean, it's I have a little kindergartner, and it's like he hasn't seen his friends, so
Hmm.
it's definitely no good.
Yeah.
But hey, what
Yeah.
are you going to do? So yes, yet another reason to become an entrepreneur for sure. And Laird, I wanted to kind of tie all of this back a little bit into California. We both live in California. What's going on here? You've been
Hmm.
very outspoken about what's happening in California, what's happening nationally. So I just wanted to kind of get your take. We agree in so many respects on kind of what's
Hmm.
going on. Get your take on kind of what's happening, and where do we go from here in California specifically, because this state is we're having a lot of issues.
Yeah. It not that it's been taboo in the past, but I definitely have decided, I'm going to be a little bit more authentic about my opinions on this, and it'll ruffle some feathers. There's always two sides, and I get it, but we're lacking complete bipartisan logic right now in the state, and so that's why a lot of us, not just me, but a lot of us are deciding, now's the time to start speaking out, and it is, more need to get on board, because I don't care what your stance, or affiliation, political affiliation is. Where we're at right now is not gonna last. Can't last, can't continue on. So we do have a career politician in right now, and who's kind of stuck in there. And I don't think he's got our best interest in mind. I think he's got bigger, grander plans. But I think making sure that we continue this California lifestyle that so many of us have just love, and we just boast about. And I've been all over the country. I've traveled all over. There's no place else I would rather live, but but not under these circumstances, I think, or this leadership. So, I've been promoting very, very hard a great gentleman, I think, who has some amazing views and logical solutions to some of our big problems. Major Williams was actually nominated by a lot of his peers out of Pasadena
Yep.
to run for governor, and it wasn't even his idea. He was actually helping on the campaign at the time. They said, what, I tell you, you're the guy. We love, you've got the vision, you've got a good outlook. You're an entrepreneur, not a career politician. So I'm standing behind him right now, hoping that he can make us change. If nothing else, at least in the ideology of some of the other career politicians who are thinking they may have a chance at running in 2022. In the meantime, trying to get Newsom out for me is a big deal. I hate to say it. I just don't know how much more we could take. And it scares me to see another 20 months or 18 months of his decision making. So you'll probably see a little bit more of that from me too, and trying to get more involved. I think it's something we all have to do right now, especially as business owners more than ever. You can see that a lot of my friends are small business owners, and they've been decimated throughout this pandemic. That's in my opinion, been pretty exaggerated based on where we see the threat of it, right? And those are all numbers that everybody can view, right? Yeah, we'll see if we got maybe a run up for myself here, at least in the local politics side. And just starting, that's what we need. We need people who can voice and speak for people who don't have a voice, I think.
Yeah, Laird, I'm totally with you. It's interesting because, like, I've always been like somewhat interested. In law school, I remember like everyone used to always tell me, "Oh, you got to run for something," and I've
Hmm.
always been like casually interested. This
Hmm.
whole pandemic has
Yeah.
pissed me off so much with what's gone on locally. And the sad part is, before I wasn't that interested locally. Like I never paid attention that much. When you said Newsom snuck in,
Hmm.
that rings a bell because I don't even remember voting for the last governor. Right?
I know.
He
I
totally
100%
snuck
neither
in.
did I. He did. I'm exactly right there with you. Yeah.
And we have Garcetti down here, who's even more of a nightmare, if that's possible, I think. And so, it's nuts to me that the stuff that he's doing in the state, and so I've become more vocal about it, to the dismay of my wife, because she's always like, "Stop posting about that stuff. We're going to lose clients."
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people are pissed off. And, I do it, reasonably. I don't do anything. We're not hurling insults and stuff like that. But I wanted to ask you a question. So you have been vocal about it. Do you think that's affected your business, and how do you think the two kind of go together? Do you temper yourself? How does that play a part in your social media and everything you do?
Inevitably, you're going to piss some people off when you throw opinions out there. There's no two ways about it. So, and it will affect business down eventually. But I've also picked up a ton of fantastic, like-minded entrepreneurs because of it. And I had one particular post go viral. I didn't even intend it to. I definitely was pretty fucking harsh about it.
Yep.
And maybe dropped a few more F-bombs than I would have if I had known 250,000 people or so, or 500,000. I don't know how I saw it. It was a lot. But there was passion behind it, and I think people resonate with passion, and I've always been a passionate guy. I definitely stayed pretty reserved on. In fact, this is one of my first lives ever, to be honest, going on with somebody and chatting about myself. So
thank you. Hold on, I'm going to give you a round of applause for that.
Hey, there you go. I appreciate you putting on it. And I would like to do more of it. I mean, as we voice opinions, we create movements too, and that creates some power in your own brand. So, I may piss some people off, but I know I'm getting a lot of applause by people for speaking up, and it's been really, really great to see the support. My DM's full of people just going, "Hey, right on! Thank you for speaking, thank you for saying something."
Yep.
And that's important for those who can do it to do it. Not everybody can do it, and I'm not great at it. Don't get me wrong; I'm not a public speaker by trade or anything like that, but I definitely got opinions on what will make sense for us as Californians going forward. I'm going to voice it.
It's I'll tell you, Laird, I think it's a really sad state of affairs in our state. My parents, so I was born in Russia, and my parents came here when I was 3. And they came, like, my dad always wanted to come to California. When they came here, it was the land of opportunity and such a great place to be. And if you look back at the history of California, it's voted Democrat for however long, and that whole time period has just been a downward spiral for everything. You talk about the homeless situation, you talk about poverty, everything, and then you hear that Newsom has a high approval rating, and I just throw my hands up, and I'm like, how is that possible? This guy is a nut job. Daily he's doing stuff where it's mind-boggling to me. And so, hopefully the recall happens. I mean, I'm so in support of that.
Yeah, you have to ask yourself, when you've got a state that's generating more revenue than most countries in taxable revenue, and you still can't balance a budget, and you can't entice businesses to stay, you can't entice growth in that way, and you're creating just a handout state. I mean, that's the reason why you'll see those approval ratings. I mean, and that's the biggest problem between the parties, right? Is just a complete ideology split as to helping those help themselves as opposed to just giving the handouts. So as long as he's allowed to continue to do that and create more voters by stifling business and growth, requiring those who don't have the means to ask for help, right, and get it, that's a vote. They know that, okay, I'm getting it. I don't have to go get it myself. And it's perpetuating a very shitty downward spiral. I've just lost, I talk about my network, right? My close friends. I'm not kidding you. My 4 best couples, 8 people I consider family, I've had to move. They just bought houses out of the state. And they took, 550 employees, revenue north of 100 million between I mean, I'm not kidding. It's like that. And that's just me in my small circle that I know. I'm not able to leave the state. Otherwise, I probably would at this point, being that I share custody with my children. So that's not an option for me. But that's a sad state of affairs where people are literally leaving in groves. This is not people we don't know. These are people I know leaving this state because they have to. And that's a telltale sign we're totally fucked at the moment. Let's use the language, but if guys like you, me, and the people who are following don't take a stand, it's only going to get worse. And I don't know if we can pull out of it with much more of this direction.
Laird, I couldn't agree with you more. I earlier this year when the pandemic started, I kind of got with my team and I'm like, hey, what should we do? And we started a YouTube channel, and we've been putting out videos, and we put out a video last week that has gone totally crazy. And the video was 5 reasons to get the fuck out of California, right?
I saw it. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And that video, it's like everyone's telling me like, yep, yep, yep. And just, I mean, like you said, your circle of friends is leaving. We've had people at our kids' school, so many great people leave the state. Businesses, Ben Shapiro with Daily Wire took his business out, and they're leaving to Nashville. And it really sucks. And just the fact that my wife and I have to have that conversation, like, hey, should we go somewhere? Where should we go? Because it's everything here
Yeah.
is just going downhill fast. So I agree with you. I think, we need to take a stand, and we need to take the state back, because the stuff that Newsom's doing, and like you said, the handouts and the enabling is making it worse. I don't know if you saw yesterday, he formed a task force on reparations, so let's give out more handouts, right?
Yeah, and we can't balance what we have now with the astronomical income that we're already making. So I don't know who he's expecting to pay for it, because he's getting rid of his top earners already, and those are the ones he's expected to increase the taxes on. Well, they're not going to be here, so you're actually going to take a 40% cut. 10% of the people are making 40% of the revenue for the state. So if that top 10% takes off, you're losing 40% of your revenue. And he doesn't understand that math. Now, it's hard to when you're second generation, rich kid, and you just don't have any wherewithal on what it takes to actually make it, as a family in the state. And
Yeah.
we're already in one of the most expensive places to live, and now you're making it near impossible to make that living. I'm not sure. I don't know. None of it makes sense, which is the reason why recall has got to happen. And it does start. It's not just him. I remember it's going to start all the way down to legislate. So, your local stuff, you can make a difference. Look at what we're going to vote in November and knock out the people who are on board with this sort of ideology, because it's not sustainable.
Yes, for sure. And Riva gave us 100% and also mentioned that Joe Rogan left. That's true. In that video I mentioned.
Yep. Tesla, Joe Rogan. Yep, I know.
Yeah. Everyone is taking off. So, by the way, speaking of recall, do you know offhand how that is doing?
So we needed 1.5 million signed petitions, basically mailed in. They don't count online necessarily. Probably 2 million would make more sense. I think we're very close.
Okay.
I can't recall. I was just had a Republican meeting 3 weeks ago, and they were feeling pretty confident that they were going to get there. And we've been gaining more momentum, and I've seen more pop-ups. So if you haven't signed, get out and sign. Tell your friends to sign. Have your wife sign. Have your, and it will. I think we can get it done certainly before 2022. There is one downside to I'll mention is that in an open recall, the governor has a no ceiling to his campaigning. So he's raising money as we speak. He raised $53 million for his first to get elected. When you're in an open recall, there's no ceiling. That was the ceiling at the time, $53 million for that campaign. So whoever if you're looking at supporting someone, they're going to need a lot of help. Major Williams, if you're not following him, you need to follow him for sure. I think he has the right mindset. He's an African American conservative, entrepreneur, family man of faith. Just the right change I think we need for the state.
I agree 100%. I think Major's great. I've been following him for a while. Love his positions on stuff. It's common sense. Like everything he says makes sense. Nothing Newsom does make sense, or Garcetti. So, Laird, let me ask you. So, local politics, because now I've been kind of thinking about this as well. So, and we're just chit-chatting about it. So, on the local level, what are the options for you up there? Because then maybe I can mirror that down here.
Yeah, so I'm in Folsom, California. That's just outside Sacramento County.
Yeah.
It's an encompassed city. It's an affluent area. We've got a good Folsom City Council. I'm looking at that right now myself. That'd be my first step for me, just to get on board. It's a good, runs a good budget. It's a clean city. We've had some good borderline red. I'd say it's pretty bipartisan. More conservative views overall, just because it's a suburb of Sacramento, and I think that's a good place to kind of gain some ground. And then, for me, I 35 years old, we got plenty of time to get into it. I think, and we need to acquire those life skills. I'm not a talker. I'm more of a doer. I got to get in, get my, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you, so to speak. And you got to get the experience, the life experience, to really be a great leader. So, for me, that's an important step, I think, is to continue growing my business and then also my local involvement on the government side, political side, and yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy leading others. I've always have. Ever since sports days and everything else, always been team captain, and I like to see people win. I want to see people do better, and there's people who just need that help. They need that voice, and I think more of us need to step up to the plate.
Yeah, it's interesting. What you said earlier, I definitely, resonates with me. I get so many DMs whenever I post something. It's like, oh, thank you for saying that. I can't say anything because I work at a company and I'd get fired. But thank you for, voicing it. So it's an interesting dynamic.
No, and that's never been more apparent. I mean, even some of my boisterous entrepreneurs out there, they're not quite willing to put it on the line. And I can't knock them publicly, but inside I'm going, dude, if you're going to talk about it, you got to be about it. So, and if you have a voice, if you're doing nothing, it almost leaves you nearly as guilty, right, as doing the wrong thing sometimes. So, anyway.
For sure. I agree. So, Laird, we got a question for you here about some of the topics we've covered. So on the personal side, the question is, I love that you and your fiance appear to have similar political outlooks. How important is that in today's climate?
It's as diverse as the political party, are right now. It's probably pretty important. I mean, we haven't ever had, somebody so far left and somebody so far right, for example, running for presidency. So it would probably create quite a bit of deception there in the household if you guys couldn't agree. I have to be honest, that might be a deal breaker for me if she was on the other side, especially this year, because fundamentally this year is not our normal election. I mean, there's a lot of big picture things at play behind the scenes, and not necessarily in a conspiracy theory way, but it's a scary election. I think we all can agree. And if your significant other can't see that might be a hard one to get over, I think, because it really is, for me, it's blatant good versus evil right now. And luckily, Melissa feels the same way. And so we're definitely voicing our opinion right now pretty hard about it. So hopefully it all works out.
I was going to say to that question, I've been married for a very long time, and I'm very grateful that we both share the same views. My wife would like it if I didn't share as much of those views on social media and to our friends. But hey, I think if I'm going to answer that question too, because I think if you have opposite views now, I don't know how long that relationship would last.
No. And when they say you're not supposed to talk about politics or religion on your first date, but honestly, I think her and I tackled it on our first date, and I checked them off the box, so I didn't have to worry about it. A woman of faith and a Republican. I said, all right, we're good.
I was talking to someone who's single, and they were like, I guess on the dating apps you can select like political status, and he's like, oh, like I will not go out with anyone that's not the same way, because it'll just cause a lot of problems. So he screens them that way.
That's it. It's by swiping right for the Republicans.
Yeah, which is pretty funny. So Laird, let's tie all this up, man. I just so thankful for you, first of all, for being on the show. We've got so much great value. Thank you, all of you, for the questions. We still have time with Laird. We're not going anywhere. So we actually do have a question again from first name, last name. I type in your name, man, or ma'am. There we go. Oh, oops, too late. Okay, so here's the question, Laird. What do you see for Folsom and the economy in the next 10 years?
So Folsom, I'm happy to say that I think we're going to be a pretty good a niche area. We've got a big mass exodus for us in Northern California, for those who are watching in California anyway, but from the Bay Area out here, everything from price per square foot to congestion to the fact that telecommuting is pretty much standard now for almost everybody. I mean, Silicon Valley is already, they're going to probably start downsizing. They don't need the infrastructure. They don't need to pay the high rents and everything. So we're seeing just a huge mass excess out here. And so properties down there that are typically selling, for almost 900 a square foot, you can come up here and buy for less than half.
Wow.
In some cases, we're around 350, 375 a square foot for the upper end product, right?
Oh, that's
on
awesome.
The real estate side. So that means for me, things should continue to do well, even with the market correction, which we can all assume we're going to see. No matter who wins this election. We've been on a pretty amazing trajectory. It is going to become more and more location, I think, and where you want to raise a family, particularly if somehow Biden ends up in there, I think that'll actually be even more drastically apparent. You're going to see, I think California, Northern California, especially Sacramento, is going to continue to have great growth. We see on the lending side, rates are going to hold for the foreseeable future for sure. So getting a lot of bang for your buck. So it's still an amazing time to look at purchasing or look at upsizing or even getting into some investment properties up here. We're, like I told you, we're building 115 homes over 6 different subdivisions right now. And that'll all be going vertical in the next 90 days. So next year is going to be a busy, busy year for us. And I hope it is for everybody else too.
Awesome. And, I think that kind of echoes across the state, everything you said, other than the price per square foot, because ours is not, not that low. By the way, so we maybe we can figure out who first name, last name is. The profile picture is of I think a white Toyota Tacoma. You know anyone with a white Toyota Tacoma? I think that's a Toyota Tacoma.
Boy, I don't know.
I don't know my trucks.
I've got a few followers in there. Everyone's usually pretty nice, but if they want to keep the anonymity, good for them.
All right. We'll leave first name, last name alone. But I do appreciate your questions, and I appreciate you tuning in for sure. So, Laird, let's kind of tie all this back together, man. So, in terms of business and everything that you're doing, I just love to hear, because I love talking to entrepreneurs. What's next for you? What are some goals that you are working on right now? Whether that's business or anything else. We already talked about the politics a little bit, but would just love to hear what's next for you.
So big couple of years for me. I mean, new relationship was, kind of took 33 years to find the love of my life, and I'm happy about that. We've actually get to plan a wedding, I think, here soon, because COVID we kind of backtracked on that. We're like, okay, well, let's not push an event. We know we can't really throw. So that's a big foresight or big goal for us, is to finally tie the knot. And then we're building our dream home up here in El Dorado Hills is the next one. So along the way, for me, it's scaling a company, right, in a sustainable fashion, and branding a really great one-stop shop brokerage that we haven't really seen in Northern California at all. So we highlight a lot of the talent that's up here, and we're kind of a small pond, to be honest. It's a lot of talent here, but there's not a lot of hitters, and so that's the reason why I think networking for us in Sacramento goes so well. Yeah. Everyone in each, the leaders in each industry are always willing to share their ideas and put the effort in to network. So for us in my business, it's just utilizing those relationships and then getting just your top performers over. We just hired on 6 new agents that are they're both groups of 3, and then around almost 45 million for the year in retail. If you're in the industry, that's a great job. 40, So that's my goal. Yes, continue to just brand this thing and get it to a household name for sure up here in Northern California, all the way to the Bay.
That is awesome. Well, hopefully we can do some business together in Southern California as well. Yes. Which would be great, and just awesome stuff. So you guys, before we let Laird go, what we're going to do, which has become a signature on the show here, is, one of the things I love to see is what's like the secret behind the success and what makes you tick and all kinds of good stuff. So I'm going to do the lightning round of questions on the show here. Now, Laird, before I do it, I'm going to confirm with you that I did not give you these questions ahead of time.
I had no idea you did this, so no, not at all.
All right, so here's how the lightning round works. I'm going to give you a question.
None of this was scripted.
That's right. It's all spontaneous. So you can answer in any way you want. You can explain it. You cannot explain it. Again, our whole goal here is just to kind of see, hey, here's a successful entrepreneur, business person, family man, and so we want to see what makes you tick. So you ready to roll in the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Hold on. Oh, that's not the sound I wanted. I wanted this one. That's the one I wanted. I pressed the wrong button. All right, so here we go. Lightning round of questions. Let's have some fun. So, Laird, what is your superpower?
That's my superpower. Let's see here. My superpower has got to be I'm a pretty good dad. That's probably my superpower.
That's a good one.
Definitely that's the most important thing for me, is make sure these kids turn out okay.
For sure. Awesome answer. Here we go. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be in the NFL. I want to be a quarterback in the NFL. That was what I wanted.
Did you play QB?
I did. I played quarterback all through high school. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, we should have talked about that. Did you play after? Oh no, you said you skipped. So high school and then
I
you.
skipped. I skipped. Yeah. So my father passed away going in my senior year. He was a big pivotal part of me growing up as far as being the athlete. And
Okay.
we talked about earlier. I talked about we use things to be either a crutch or fuel for success. And at the time, I kind of threw away my career. I was so angry at the world, right? And
Oh
when I
man.
woke up about 2 years later, I decided to turn it into fuel instead of a reason to have failed. So I gave up my career and ended up in the business game.
Yep. By the way, someone did add. I think this is being facetious. Someone said, just like in the debate, I did not give you the questions ahead of time. That's a good one. There you go. All right, good stuff. We'll have to throw some passes sometime. I played receiver at Arizona a long time ago.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
It's
Yeah.
been a long time. Now
I still got the cannon. Yeah.
I love it. I can't do it anymore. All right, here we go. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Boy, see, I love what I do now, but litigating has always actually been something I was interested in. That I enjoy preparing for court.
Okay.
I haven't had to do it too often, but I love. I do love law, so that would be something it's not out of the realm, I suppose, for me now. I could still go back and get that thing accomplished. I don't know. It sounds like you went yourself.
Yes. No. I was going to tell you, don't do it. It's a very boring career. No.
Don't do it.
Well, it's not what
I'll
it
leave
is.
it as a pipe. I'll leave it as a pipe dream then.
It's not what it is on TV. I mean, you're in court maybe an hour a month, and the rest of the time you're just writing and reading briefs. It's not. That's no fun.
Really? Okay, then I'll tell you. I'll go be an actor as a lawyer. That's
there you go. Then you're in court. Yeah. Then you're just waiting around all the time. Stick to what you're doing. Doing a good job, man. Okay, here we go. This is appropriate because we've already kind of talked about it. What's your favorite curse word or phrase?
Favorite curse word. I definitely use. That F-bomb comes out a lot with me. In fact, I think I've only said it twice on this entire show, which is probably a win.
You've been very tame, man. I got to tell you.
I'm trying. I don't want to piss too many people off. Yeah.
No, it's all good. Okay. Favorite restaurant or type of food?
So my fiance is an unbelievable Italian cook. So Italian food, although it doesn't cooperate with my six pack, and I have to remind her that if she wants to keep, sleeping with an Adonis, that she's gonna have to tone down the carbs. But goddamn it, if that shit isn't the bomb. So it's definitely Melissa's Italian cooking.
I love it. Good stuff. Who is your favorite musician or type of music?
Let's see. I'm a big country fan. If I had to say that, yep, country fan. Jason Aldean resonates for us. The kiddos love it. It's their first country music or concert they ever went to. So I always think of him as and I met him in Nashville one time. Shorter than I thought he'd be, but anyway, no, he was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 6'4", so everyone's probably pretty short.
It does. That's true.
That's awesome, man. Good stuff. I'm a country fan myself, one of few in Southern California. We don't have a lot.
You don't have a lot.
But hey, it's cool. All right, we had a couple more lightning round questions. These are great, and I always get great comments. So people really like to see the personal side as well, not just business. So, next question is, what is your idea of a perfect vacation?
Let's see. Our perfect vacation, I think we had it. We nailed it on the head. We're big fans of Hawaii. Actually, Melissa and I had a go-to spot separately with our children prior to us meeting. And then when we finally were able to get the kids together, we were just there in November, right before COVID hit. Almost 1 year ago, I actually proposed there with the kids. Oh, wow. So that's got a special place in our heart. Yeah, private little catamaran with our close friends. And so that was, we spent 10 days there, and we just got to really just kind of soak up the family time. There's something about the islands that's pretty magical. So for us, it's definitely time in Hawaii together.
Very cool.
That's that's a little generic, if you want to call it corny, but that's us for sure.
No, Hawaii is fantastic. My only beef with Hawaii is with 3 kids, like buying 5 plane tickets to Hawaii is very expensive.
Yeah.
But
it's 10 racks to get everybody over there and have fun. Right? No shit.
Exactly. There you go. Okay. All right, we got a couple more questions here. This is one of my favorites, actually. Is what natural gift that you don't have would you like to possess?
Boy, natural gift I don't have. don't know if I have one. Just kidding.
You can pass.
I'm going to pass. Yeah, I'll pass.
All right, perfect. You got one pass, and since
I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm definitely very, very blessed, and I do everything I can to try to give back. You know, we never know how you're gonna. Because we could have all ended up any one of the 7 billion people on Earth, and I'm very blessed at who I am. So
totally agree. Great answer. Okay, last question of the lightning round. We're doing amazingly well here. This is my favorite question of the lightning round, and it's perfect for you since you're in the car industry. Here you go. What car best embodies your personality?
What car best embodies my personality? You know, I had a dream when I was in my early 20s. I wanted to buy an Aston Martin, and there's something about that car from day one. Even though I'd been in the luxury industry with Mercedes and Maybach and all that stuff, it's the robust, the class of it, and then of course the performance. I don't know, that car for me it's like still in my head. I bought it. I wanted it for my 25th birthday, and I bought one on time in the color I wanted. We talk about like manifesting shit in life. I've literally manifested everything I had, for sure. So I have one in mind, and it's that car, and I'm gonna get it again. So a newer version of it. Yeah, I think that one's mine.
I love it. Great answer. Great answer. Well, Laird, that'll do it for the lightning round. I'm gonna give you a big round of applause. Thanks for playing along.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Not unscripted. And Laird, so before we go, last question of the day really is, do you have any parting words of advice, parting words of wisdom that you want to give to, our budding, whether they're real estate agents, entrepreneurs, or, just people in general trying to be successful and make it in whatever endeavor they're pursuing right now?
Yeah, for sure. This is and this isn't scripted either, but it's a pretty pivotal time right now for any one of us. And you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone if you're going to make it. I'll be honest with you. And you're going to have to pick up something new you've probably never even done before. In fact, this year I've had one of my best years, and you know what it was? It wasn't even real estate. Real estate's been doing amazing, but the market called for PPE gear, and I dove in. I picked up the phone one day and just went through my network, and we ended up doing, between me and a partner, almost $35 million in PPE sales, because it's what was needed right now. And that's not something most people would think they could do. But all it took was a phone, you know what I mean, and a little drive, and understanding that niche markets are going to continue to rear their head here for us in a different way, a quicker way than they have in the past, where you have like slow rolls into markets,
right.
New innovative ways to make money are coming almost every day. So it took me a long time to realize I didn't have to compartmentalize myself into one thing. Okay. And I think that a lot of people think they have to, like, this is what I do. And I think if you can think bigger picture and realize, what, you yourself you're just likable, you're a person, you can sell, you can do this, you can create relationships. That means you can do anything. And you just gotta, believe that. So anyway, that could be my only advice, because it took me a long time to be willing to get out of my comfort zone, and it's paid dividends by doing it.
I think that's such great advice and such a great thing to leave us with. So, Laird, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on the show. Gotten so much value out of this, and good luck with everything you're doing locally. And thank you for speaking up. Really appreciate you and being on the show. Hang tight for one sec. I'll say goodbye to everyone else, and then we will
100%.
Connect again.
And then I'm gonna get you up for the Rubicon, right? Gonna bring the family up. We'll get you out there.
100%. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So stick around.
Good.
We'll chat for a sec too. But let me just say bye to everyone real quick. So you guys. That was awesome. I don't know what the heck is going on with my lighting today here. We're going to have to fix that. But thank you so much for tuning in to Danny B Live today. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in, your questions, your comments. And Laird was such an amazing guest and shared so much value and knowledge for us today. Hope you guys got some really great value out of that. And again, on my channel, my passion, my mission is to help you in the areas of real estate, business, and finance. If you're a buyer, seller, investor, we have a luxury real estate team down here in Southern California, and also referral partners throughout the country that can help you if you're a real estate agent, entrepreneur, salesperson, anything like that. Then we have a lot of different coaching and other programs that can help you create a business that's predictable, profitable, and fun, as people run around behind me. But it's a live show, so hey, at least she was clothed, right, Laird? Yeah, of course we saw you. So So anyway, you guys, if you want to chat, go to this website, bookacallnow.com. We can get on a business strategy call, chat about your business, see where you are, see where you want to go. If there's something I have that can help you, great. If not, I'll steer you in the right direction. Thanks again for tuning in to Danny B Live. Check out the channel if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you on the next video or on the next show. Thanks, you guys. Take care.